Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Actor on Actor for the role of Tatum. My name is Mary Blake, and I am the principal actor playing Tatum. And I am here with.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea Renae. I am the understudy role for Tatum, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is so exciting. It's so nice to meet you for the first time.
I know you too. I was just saying we've got our bangs going on, so we've already
Yes.
got that in synchronous, so it's like perfect.
Um, okay, let me start you off with an easy question. What would be three words you would use to describe Tatum?
Oh, wow.
Maybe a harder question than it seems.
I would say passionate, uh, charismatic, and I would say sensitive.
Yeah, no, those are good ones. I like charismatic. I think like quirky would be one of mine too. She's just like a silly, funny girl.
I know, definitely the comedic relief in a lot of ways, which I resonate with that in my own life. So I feel like that was fitting.
Do you
Uh,
prefer comedy in general, or like do you usually do more dramatic acting?
I feel like I tend to get a lot of dramatic roles. I think that I've just always been typed as like the very strong older sister, cousin, mother figure that's like telling the wisdom. So I haven't really gotten a lot of comedic roles. So this is gonna be a fun thing to just explore and play with those moments that bring the levity to the show and the scene. So I'm excited.
Yeah, awesome.
How has this process been for you? Like the process of this show, how has it been different from maybe other shows that you've done in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I started with this project with Shadows for the workshop, which is something I'd never done before. I'd never workshopped a role. And it's been really nice to sort of have that iteration of the show and of Tatum and to explore who the character is. And then, I mean, it's different now because we had a different actor playing Katya's role, playing opposite me. So it's changed a lot, I think, with having a different actor to sort of go off of and to find who Tatum is, because the relationship, I think, is the best friend relationship is so important. And it's been really nice to have so much time to think about these things in between the workshop and in between our rehearsals now to really think about who Tatum is and and what her arc is, what her evolution is.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I was, when we first did the table read, and I was thinking that, there's so many pieces that we have to fill in as the actor because, the story the story follows a specific path and we're kind of just like we're aiding the main character's journey and arc ourselves by our presence, so we have to create like the juicy background, the meatiness that like brings the life to her. And I feel like that's always a fun thing. It's kind of sometimes it can be tough when you have so much freedom because the story is not telling you, okay, this is exactly who this person is. You have to, create that for yourself. So it can be challenging, but it's also a lot of fun to have that freedom. So
Yeah, totally. And I love that Tatum has her own objectives and arcs, and they're very present and real too. And so even while the story isn't, revolving around her, there's still so much to work with, which is great.
yeah, absolutely. Um, what sort of person do you feel like would love this character? Like,
Ooh.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like a celebrity that would be the archetype for I feel like it would be some like comedy, like some I feel like Tatum watches SNL. I feel like I don't know. So maybe someone along the lines of that, someone who doesn't take life too seriously,
Mm,
um, but still has a lot of love and care for the people in her life, and wants to do right by them. But I think there's definitely a sort of levity and a tendency to use comedy to make things feel better.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. I just love her little moments that, she continues to have, like, I'm just gonna leave these pastries. Like that's one of my favorite lines because I just feel like it just speaks to just the type of person that she is and just how she moves through the world and in such a like a low state. And so yeah, that's cool.
Well, let me ask about your process with this. I mean, like what has been your process and what discoveries have you made along the way so far?
Um, I would say one of the things that I took away from from acting school that really helped me to like just dive in is three things. It's like what does the script say about the character? What do the other characters say about the character? And then what does the character say about themselves? And those three sections are like my beginner way to enter into any project. And so that's been like my process of figuring out, okay, these are the concrete things that make up my character based on just the factual evidence of the script. And then I have the freedom, once I get those things down, then I can have the freedom to like fill in the rest. So I guess the discoveries have just been coming from figuring out my what really drives me, figuring out the why and the how, and the why that makes you cry, as they say. But like just figuring out what is that heart, what's the heart that because she has such a heart and such a passion, and it comes out so evidently in the script. So just like figuring out like where does that heart come from and what is that drive, and so I guess that's been a part of my discovery, still discovering that. But I think that's the main thing for me right now is what I'm trying to figure out. If that makes
Totally makes sense. I love that you've said this because I also do a really similar thing where the first thing I do is like script, like what do I know I can work with? And then just building stuff from there. So we're the same.
I love that. It's so beautiful about acting. It's like, you have your foundational things that carry you, and then from there, everybody has their own process, and so I think that's beautiful. What do you think will surprise people about the show itself, or also the character?
I think one of the things that I loved about Tatum from the beginning is I think it's very human to really care about the people in your life, but to still in some ways, the world you experience the world through your own eyes. And for Tatum, the important things to her are her career, and she's promised this interview with Lindsay, and that sort of is a point of contention in their relationship. And she doesn't know what's going on with Lindsay and with Lindsay's diagnosis. And so, of course, she loves Lindsay and she wants to be there for her, but there's still a sense of what about me? And that's sort of where their conflict comes from. And I think that's so human, even when the people in your lives are experiencing things that are very difficult, there's still an element of where do I fit into this, and then how do I go on with my life and make things work, even through everything that's happening around me. And so I don't know if this answers the question entirely, but that's what I love about her, and I think it's relatable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just love that the way the show shows that dynamic in friendships, like that hardship, and then to come back from it and to like rekindle in a way, and just lay everything out on the table and just be honest, and those passionate moments where we are in the heat and we say things and that we don't, that we later regret, or and it's like because we don't know, we're caught up in our own thing, and we don't always know what's even happening with the people that are the closest to us, which I think is something that the show shows that's so eye-opening. It was eye-opening for me when I read it, and I hope that it will be eye-opening for the audience. It's just to you could be as close to somebody as you think you are, but you're still missing vital and key things that are happening in their lives and in their minds, and just helps us to be more aware, more present with each other, and to care for each other more intimately than even we think we are caring. Um,
Mhm.
So yeah, that's something about the show also that I feel like will surprise people and hopefully like touch people's heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, I think, and I've said this before, but female friendship is so important and has played such a huge role in my life. And I think sometimes you don't always see it played out or played out realistically in media. And so I think I love that there's platonic love in this, and there's romantic love, and there's sisterly love, and you get to see all of the aspects of that. And I think it just reinforces the idea that we should be reaching out to the people in our lives and be there for them however we can be.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you brought that up about, the womanly connections because, I worked with Anthony on uh the girl with the red hair, and that was so female centered and female empowered. And this is just another example of showing the real dynamics between women of all shapes and sizes and colors, and you get to see the truth of our connections. And I think that's such a thing that we need more of in the world and in art. So it's so cool to be a part of a space where I get to tell this story that can resonate with so many women everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, I had a similar question for you, I guess, not so much about what's surprising, but what do you hope that the audience will take away from this?
um, I really hope that they'll walk away from it just being more aware. I think that's the only thing I could really hope is just to be more aware and more present with the people around you, because we see this show and we see how everyone's just kind of grasping for to hold on to memories of people before we lose them, grasping to hold on to life, grasping to hold on to dreams that are like slipping away. And I feel like that's so parallel to, I mean, obviously art imitates life, but it's so parallel to so many of our lives, especially now with COVID, the way COVID happened and a lockdown and the actor strike and all these things, and we're all just like grasping for things all the time. And so we forget to be present and we forget to actually appreciate the people around us, create memories that are good so that if we do have to pull from them, they're positive. And yeah, I think just being more aware of how we love the people that are closest to us.
Yeah, and I love that idea of presence and connection. And I mean, I think one of the reasons I love acting so much is because it allows you to be so present with other people and to just feel that empathy and love in a way that I think sometimes is hard in real life when there's so much going on around you. And yeah, no, I love that that an audience would take away that they should be seeking that kind of presence and connection.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say has been the most challenging part about bringing this script to life or this character to life? And also, on the contrary, what's been the easiest part?
Okay, I'll start with the easiest part. Because I think immediately when I read the script, I was feeling the comedy, and I think Tatum's pretty similar to me in a lot of ways, and so I think it was easy to kind of step into the cadence of how she talks and her relationship with Lindsay. Um, I think the hardest part has been sort of crafting the stakes around their argument, and then crafting the regret that comes after realizing what Lindsay has been going through and that I, as Tatum, have not been there for her in the way that I hoped that I would be. And finding the depth in that and really grounding myself in those harder feelings and those feelings that are harder to experience because they hurt, you know?
Absolutely. Do you feel like you're the kind of actor who you like to pull from your own experiences, or are you kind of like a what if, you like to make it up so that it's not, so that it doesn't hit too many like personal points, but it also still gets you to where you need to be to, conjure up that big emotion?
Yeah, I think, I mean, somewhere in the middle, but probably more towards the second one. I think it's helpful to think about how in my own life I relate to this, and certainly Tatum is someone I can relate to. Um, but I also, haven't had this exact experience. And I've been very lucky that I don't have anyone in my life who's had a critical diagnosis like this. And so that's something that I have been fortunate not to experience. And so in that sense, I think that's something that I have to really imagine and do research and step into those shoes to understand what it's like to be there for that person. How
Yeah,
about you?
yeah, I feel similarly because I'm grateful that I haven't had that experience either. And because of that, it's it's um it's like I want, you want to try to use your, because I've always been someone who wants to use their own personal life because I feel like that's what gets me the most. But at those times where you don't have the experience to kind of like correlate with anything, it does bring the difficulty. And I think that and also in terms of um, friendship as well. Like there's certain aspects of, because I haven't really had many big arguments with my friends. I feel like I've always had pretty easygoing friendships that have not like escalated to a point where we were in a heated anything. And maybe that speaks to something, I don't know, but and so it's just like finding that, because in order to get to those points with people, we have to love them so much. Because if
Mhm.
you don't care about people, you don't argue with them and you don't have these big disagreements, or you're not. So it's just like, I feel like it's causing me to also look at my own life and looking at the depth of how close I am with people or how I've connected with people over my life, and and what it would take to get to a point where you care about somebody so much that you're not afraid to fight with them. You're not afraid to combat them. And
Mhm.
so I think that's been a little bit challenging for me in many ways. And then I would say the easiest thing is like kind of similar to what you said about that levity and that light. I think it's just that's something that's always resonated with me. I think it's something that's easy to tap into, um especially with the storyline like this, and the writing it's just so very clear. So yeah, I would say that's it for me as well.
Uh, in terms of, sort of getting to that, I mean, even getting to the parts that are light and fun, but then also the parts that are deeper, do you use anything like music, or have you been watching any like movies or anything to help inspire you and get you to that place?
I would say, oh man, I do love music. Music is like a big thing for me too, especially like even before a show, just finding one song or a specific song that like resonate with how I want to enter the space. I would say what's been helping me is my real life, like connecting with the women in my life. I never really had strong female friendships until now. So just like really spending intimate time with them and going on like girl dates and like going on hikes and like doing fun things like that is stuff that I'm just starting to do now. So I think I'm trying to get myself into it by like living in that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think one of the really helpful things that we've done in rehearsal was with Katya, we were sort of going back into our backstory and thinking about what were these fun girl dates that we had together, and like what are our shared memories, and that's been something that's been really helpful to inform what our friendship is and how close these two women are. Yeah, and the same for me. Music is very helpful. Pinterest boards. I'm a big Pinterest girl, and I love like curating the whole aesthetic of like, who is this character? How does she see the world? And so that's something that's really helpful for me to kind of look at during the rehearsal process, but also maybe right before I go on stage to just be like, this is her color scheme. These are the things she really likes to do, and that's who this person is.
Ah, that's beautiful. It was so great speaking with you. I know we have a limited amount of time. I don't know. I know that Anthony said 5 minutes, so I don't know how long it's been since you've said that. um, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing this space with me. And it's so great to meet you.
Yes, you're amazing. It's so nice to meet you.
Can't wait to meet you in person.
Yes.
And thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for joining us on Actors on Actors. Please go to shadowsofplay.com for tickets and to check us out and to learn more. We hope to see you in that audience. All right, that's it.